Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we assemble the best and most interesting news we can find from the area, and Jerry Tope brings you the local weather and related news. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We appreciate that you're watching DCTV. Today's show is live on Monday at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8, and again re-aired on Thursday at noon, 2:30 and 8. It's November 28th, 2016. Here's the news at noon. At last week's Dolores County Commissioners meeting, one of the items on the agenda was a request from the Dove Creek Fire District. According to the Dove Creek Press Report, in attendance, Dan Johnson, Rick Ernst, and Grant Allen took chairs at the commission table to talk about a new challenge that the Dove Creek Volunteer Fire Department is facing. Johnson said that during the annual fire meeting that is attended by representatives of various federal land agencies, it came to light that local fire departments are expected to upgrade the way they keep records of wildfires and all incidents. He said that the federal agencies want reports on virtually everything and expect those reports to be filed by people who were actually at the fires. Grant Allen has been researching the situation and concluded that the Dove Creek Fire Department will need new computers and a new program to operate the reporting system. Johnson said the fire district is willing to buy the computers and programs and take on the time and expense to train the members in how to use them. He noted that the fire department really gets nothing out of the record keeping, so we're really doing the county's work, he said. His request was for the county to pay the yearly subscription for the program of $100 a month and an additional $50 a report to the volunteer member who stays after a fire and completes the report. Commissioners asked how many reports that might be, and Sheriff Jerry Martin said there were 16 wildfire reports in 2015. Allen said the total amount of reports was around 50, but only the reports for county incidents of wildland reports would be paid for by the county. After negotiations and mathematical figurings, it was decided to allocate a $4,000 line amount in the budget, which should more than cover the estimated wildland reports and sustain the customized software system charges. This would be readdressed each year. Allen then finished up by sharing with the commissioners that he is still working on the annual fire plan and would submit a rough draft to the county before the January deadline.
According to the Cortez Journal, James Ellis pleaded guilty this week to a vehicular homicide and DUI charge stemming from a fatal crash near Mancos on March 30th. Judge Douglas Walker presided in Montezuma District Court on Wednesday and heard Ellis's plea. Ellis, 28, was driving in a pickup truck with two passengers on Road 31 just north of Colorado Highway 184 at about 11:30 p.m. on March 30th, according to Colorado State Patrol. Ellis lost control of the truck, which traveled off the left side of the road and rolled multiple times, striking a mailbox, parked motorcycle, propane tank, and several other items. A 22-year-old woman died after she was partially ejected from the truck. Another passenger, a 31-year-old man, sustained minor injuries. No one in the truck wore seatbelts. Ellis's sentencing was set for January 10th at 1:30 p.m. in District Court. Prosecutors said several family members of the deceased victim were prepared to make statements.
The Durango Herald reported that ConocoPhilips will sell off all of its assets in the Four Corners area. They are the largest operator in the San Juan Basin, a natural gas and oil field that spans across northern New Mexico and southwest Colorado. Davy Kong, a ConocoPhillips corporate spokeswoman, said the company's decision earlier this month to sell up to $8 billion of mostly North American natural gas assets would include all of the 1.3 million acres of leasehold in the San Juan Basin. ConocoPhillips has been active in the San Juan Basin, an area rich in coal bed methane, for more than 50 years, operating approximately 10,000 wells throughout Colorado and New Mexico, Kong said. The company also purchased all of the Burlington Resources assets in 2006 for $35.6 billion, a significant portion of which was focused in the basin. ConocoPhillips' decision to leave the Four Corners is yet another blow to a region suffering from prolonged bust years as a result of the declining price of natural gas, a trend the Houston-based International Energy Company was not immune to. According to data taken from the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, ConocoPhillips has undergone a 68% decrease in production in La Plata County since its peak year in 2003. This year, the company is on track to dip even lower into production totals. The sale, however, could have significant impacts to La Plata County's operating budget of $77 million, of which ConocoPhillips and its subsidiary Burlington Resources contribute nearly $2 million. In 2014, Burlington Resources and ConocoPhillips, respectively, were the 5th and 6th largest producers of coal bed methane in La Plata County, which contributes nearly 75% of the state's coal bed methane production. Though there was a period of uncertainty, all of the company's assets in La Plata County were reportedly purchased last month by the Southern Ute Indian Tribe's natural gas and oil production company, Red Willow Production Company, for $115.5 million. Megan Graham, spokeswoman for La Plata County, said the tribe is exempt from the financial burden and instead the county will receive a payment in lieu of taxes to compensate for the loss. It could take a few years to see the actual impacts of ConocoPhillips selling its assets. Most of the workers live in New Mexico, so La Plata will not feel much of the impact from potential layoffs. However, other operators in the basin, namely Chevron and Energen, have recently sold their assets in the San Juan Basin because of the industry downturn, whereas BP announced in December of 2015 its first major acquisition in 7 years, 480 wells across 33,000 acres.
According to the Cortez Journal, a Bayfield man was recovering last Wednesday after being hit by a car Tuesday night on Main Avenue. Dr. Richard Grossman, 73, said he doesn't remember being hit by the car. His earliest memory is waking up during a CT scan at Mercy Regional Medical Center. Grossman suffered a broken bone in his right ankle and road rash. "I'm doing pretty well," he said. "I don't remember riding in the ambulance, but my wife says I had excellent care, including by bystanders and the police officer, Cody Hallman." Police said Grossman was crossing the street from west to east in the crosswalk at 7th Street and Main Avenue when he was struck by a 1998 Geo Prism traveling north on Main Avenue. The incident was reported to police at 5:43 p.m. Tuesday. The driver, Scott Huff, 58, of Durango, apparently didn't see Grossman in the crosswalk, said Lieutenant Ray Shoup of the Durango Police Department. Huff was cited with careless driving causing bodily injury. Grossman said he called Huff on Wednesday to let him know he was doing okay. "It was truly an accident," Grossman said. "My wife said at the scene he was crying, so he was feeling very sad about what happened and pleased to hear I didn't have any serious injuries." Grossman is a columnist for the Herald.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a Cortez resident's generosity to allow hiking and biking on his land will continue long into the future, thanks to a conservation easement that preserves recreation access. Bicycle enthusiast Keith Evans teamed up with the Montezuma Land Conservancy and Great Outdoors Colorado to permanently protect public access to his 40-acre mountain bike park. Evans' Back 40 has several miles of trails he built that link to a biking and hiking trail network on the adjacent Gear Memorial Park and Carpenter Natural Area. The new easement also includes 10 acres for a new access trail and trailhead from Mildred Road, expected to open next summer. In 2014, Evans tore down his boundary fences and negotiated with the city to allow public access. Now he has added a conservation easement. Great Outdoors Colorado chipped in $100,000 grant towards the easement, a portion of which is paid to the landowner and toward transaction costs. John Leibowitz, executive director of the Montezuma Land Conservancy, said there's a lot of funding available for other landowners who are interested in providing public access to their properties. For Evans, there is satisfaction in knowing that his contribution will benefit generations of future mountain bikers, walkers, runners, and dog walkers. He said, "I welcome the public to enjoy my humble contribution to the local ambiance. Having that open space out the back door was and still is a large part of what living in rural Colorado is all about." The Cortez-based Montezuma Land Trust now holds 85 conservation easements protecting 43,908 acres of agricultural land, open space, and wildlife habitat across southwest Colorado. For more information on conservation easements, contact MLC at 565-1664 or visit their website at montezumaland.org.
According to the Cortez Journal, officials are making efforts to improve security at Montezuma County and District Court after several people have recently escaped from court while in custody, Sheriff Steve Nowlin said Tuesday. "It can happen," Nowlin said. "We need to have better security. Our job is to keep it safe." Law enforcement officials will be meeting with court administrators this week to discuss improvements that can be made at both court locations, he said. They will find a more secure space to hold people who have been convicted or remanded from court and are waiting to be transported to the detention center, he said. That should alleviate the problem and get that taken care of, Nowlin said. On September 8th, an 18-year-old man escaped district court while waiting to be taken to jail. He fled the courthouse and escaped by foot down a Cortez city street. A deputy stationed at the entrance of the courthouse lost sight of him, but a witness stated he saw a kid running in a southwestern direction from the building. He jumped into a waiting vehicle, Nowlin said. Cords was arrested on October 16th, according to Montezuma County Jail records. He is scheduled for a preliminary hearing in county court on November 30th. Samantha Lamke, 30, escaped from district court on November 8th after being convicted of possession of a controlled substance, a Class 4 felony, according to a report from the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. She was apprehended by Cortez police officers and deputies at a Cortez residence on November 17th. Only one security officer was on duty when Lamke escaped, Nowlin said. The department has money to pay for 4 total court security officers, with the county and state providing funding for 2 each. But Nowlin has applied for a state grant that would provide funding for 2 more, bringing the total to 6. And now here's our weather report.
Unsettled winter weather will continue for our broadcast area into tomorrow. The National Weather Service says that each wave of this system will be colder than the one before it, so temps will crawl downward. We may see 1 to 3 inches of accumulating snow here, but they say that heavy falls will be far north of us and northeast of our local area, and nearer to us, more closely to 1 inch than 3 is likely. Whatever it is going to be, it started and we'll all know shortly. Gunnison and surrounding areas will be 6 to 10 inches with higher amounts possible. By near sunrise tomorrow, the most energetic part of this system will be east of us, but there will still be plenty of clouds and the possibility of light showers. By Wednesday, the last of the present system will be lingering over the divide. Late Wednesday and Thursday will be our normal clear and dry. Models are not yet in agreement beyond Thursday, so stay tuned with us through Wednesday's broadcast for the latest updates. Widespread showers and thunderstorms are forecast along and ahead of the frontal boundary, moving through the Mississippi Valley and into the Ohio Valley today, then on to the eastern seaboard states by tomorrow. From now through Wednesday, the heaviest rainfall is expected across the lower Mississippi Valley and into the Tennessee Valley as the southern portion of the boundary will stall and a second system approaches from behind. In addition to the heavy rainfall, plenty of instability along and ahead of the boundary will allow for organized strong to severe thunderstorms across the same area. The Storm Prediction Center is forecasting an enhanced risk on Monday and slight risks on Tuesday into Wednesday for eastern Texas to Alabama. Cold air and upper level dynamics on the backside of the surface low in the upper Midwest from this initial system will allow for heavy snowfall across portions of the northern plains today. A second system on its heels will keep the threat for heavy snowfall across the northern plains and much of the interior west of and Rockies through Wednesday. Winter storm warnings, watches, and winter weather advisories are in effect for much of the northern plains as well as the higher elevations of the Rockies and the Intermountain West. Gusty winds across the entire region are also expected to create blowing snow and hazardous travel conditions. As one storm exits the mountains, another makes its way onshore across the Pacific Northwest. Another round of rain and higher elevation snow is possible across much of the Northwest by Wednesday, but as we mentioned earlier, models are not in agreement on that time beyond late Wednesday yet, so how much we'll see in our region will be fleshed out by Wednesday's broadcast. These daytime highs, all in the 30s for the next 5 days, are not likely taking into consideration the chill factors through the first 2 days, but here they are anyway. As for the lows, look out for single-digit lows through Wednesday night and slightly warmer in the teens Thursday, and then into Saturday night is our best guess for now. Otherwise, today and tomorrow will be enough early winter to satisfy me for the next week, but we'll see by Wednesday what the weekend should look like. Most long-term models are showing slight blips about every 3.5 days with very little in them, but it's too soon to tell. Now back to the news.
According to the Cortez Journal, Montezuma County gravel roads are typically treated with a mixture of magnesium chloride and water to keep the dust down. But the county road department has added an ancient dust control product derived from the oil and gas industry. So-called fossil water is pulled from deep underground during oil and gas extraction and then treated for use on gravel roads. The water originates from the remnants of ancient seas and swamps that are millions of years old. It costs less than mag chloride and binds better on gravel that doesn't have a lot of clay, said Road Superintendent Rob Engelhardt. It is a state-approved product. It starts as produced water, natural liquids that accompany oil and gas as it's drawn up through wells from geological formations 3,000 to 5,000 feet underground. The briny water is separated from the oil and gas, and because it is so salty, it's usually pumped thousands of feet back underground through wastewater injection wells, at least one of which is in Montezuma County. But the industry found that treated produced water makes a good dust control product, and it received approval from the Colorado Department of Health and Environment. Before it is sold and shipped to counties for spraying on dirt roads, the water goes through a licensed wastewater treatment facility in Natarita run by Reams Construction, according to county officials. We are fortunate we have this option because it reduces our road maintenance costs, said Commissioner Larry Donsukla. Besides calcium chloride, the water contains toxic elements, including heavy metals, that are filtered out through the water treatment process.
Billionaire environmental activist Tom Steyer, who has spent more than $140 million on fighting climate change, said on Tuesday in an interview with Reuters that he will spend whatever it takes to fight President-elect Donald Trump's pro-drilling and anti-regulation agenda. The former hedge fund manager from California is putting together a strategy that will engage voters and citizens to fight back once Trump takes the White House in January. However, he stressed he was not planning to fight Trump through the courts. Instead, he would focus on trying to present an opposite point of view and try to get that point of view expressed and communicated to citizens. Steyer's pledge to fight Trump suggests an intensifying battle for U.S. public opinion on global climate change, an issue that has already divided many Americans, lawmakers, and companies between those who consider it a major global threat and those who doubt its existence. Other U.S. environmental groups are also preparing to resist Trump's agenda, some vowing street protests, and more established organizations that helped draft some of President Barack Obama's environmental regulations preparing to defend them in court. We've always been willing to do whatever is necessary, Steyer said. When asked how much money he was willing to spend to oppose Trump's agenda, Trump campaigned on a promise to drastically reduce environmental regulation and ease permitting for infrastructure, moves he said would breathe life into oil and gas industry ailing from low prices. Without harming U.S. air and water quality, he also called climate change a hoax and has promised to cancel the Paris Climate Accord between nearly 200 nations to slow global warming, a deal he said would cost the U.S. economy trillions of dollars and put it at a disadvantage. While the approach he has cheered the industry, it's sent shockwaves through the environmental movement, which is confronting the prospect of losing all progress it made during the Obama administration. Steyer, who had endorsed Democratic President candidate Hillary Clinton, called Trump's policies dangerous. Every single one of those things, whether it was getting rid of the Paris or cutting back the EPA, we think are extremely dangerous to the security of every American, Steyer said. And we think it's based on willful ignorance of the facts and flies in the face of the realities facing the world, and he pledged to spend whatever it takes.
According to the Cortez Journal, Colorado Parks and Wildlife is holding a series of meetings to discuss future funding of state parks as increased visitation and uncertainties in funding pose challenges. Previous meetings have been held in Grand Junction and Colorado Springs, and the agency will meet Monday in Denver and Tuesday in Pueblo. Though no meetings have been scheduled in Southwest Colorado, a post to Colorado Parks and Wildlife's website says additional meetings may be scheduled. According to CPW data, more than 12 million people visit Colorado's 42 state parks every year. But despite increased visitation, which contributes more than $1 billion to Colorado's outdoor recreation economy, operational costs and park budgets are being squeezed. Long-term financial sustainability of Colorado's state parks is uncertain, CPW wrote in a news release. Following the loss of state general tax fund support in 2010, the division developed and implemented a state parks financial plan that cut state parks full-time employees by 5%, cut the temporary workforce by 10%, closed Bonnie State Park, and put into place other cost-cutting measures. Joe Lewandowski, a spokesman for CPW in Durango, said the preferred method of camping in state parks has changed over the last 20 years, as visitors demand more services such as electricity, showers, and other amenities. Those demands, coupled with Colorado's ever-increasing population growth, have put CPW in a bind on how to continue maintenance and services that visitors expect. Those parks are operated like small cities. There's a sewer system, a road system, and even a reservation system, he said. Parks are fairly complicated to run, a lot more than people think. Though the Front Range, with its booming population, is by far taking the brunt of this problem, Mancos and Navajo state parks are also affected by a decreased budget. Maintenance is really a big deal, Lewandowski said, especially when you're getting thousands of people every year and you have to keep up. Lewandowski said CPW is not asking for an increase in visitor fees right now. Park entrance costs $7 per car. Rather, the meetings are to inform the public about the agency's challenges going forward. He did say CPW will ask the state legislature to remove a cap that prevents parks from increasing fees if the overall revenue increases by 20%.
More than 18,000 people in Colorado now have full-time jobs because of the legalized marijuana industry, which has generated a $2.39 billion impact on the Rocky Mountain state's economy. That, according to an article in Entrepreneur Online. Those are two of the findings in a new report that attempts to quantify the impact of the marijuana industry in Colorado, one of the first states to legalize cannabis for both medical and recreational use. The Economic Impact of Marijuana Legalization in Colorado report, created by the Marijuana Policy Group in Denver, uses a new model for measuring the economic importance of marijuana called the Marijuana Impact Model. The group claims it is the first to fairly calculate how legalized marijuana has impacted Colorado's economy. Among areas considered for the first time are secondary marijuana industries such as warehousing, cash management, security, testing, legal services, and the engineering needed to cultivate marijuana indoors. The study found that the marijuana industry, which is still growing, already outstrips the economic output of most industries in Colorado. Among the report's findings from all of 2015, all marijuana industry-related activities generated $2.3 billion in state economic output. The marijuana industry created 18,005 new full-time jobs in Colorado. Because it is confined within the state, the Colorado marijuana industry already creates more economic output and employment per dollar spent than 90% of all Rocky Mountain state industries. The marijuana industry generated $121 million in combined sales and excise tax revenues, which is 3 times more than those generated by alcohol sales and 14% more than casino revenue. As one of the first states to legalize marijuana for recreational use, along with Alaska, Colorado has led the way in regulating legalized marijuana sales. It also has provided an example of the impact legalized marijuana can have on our economy. The report estimates that the marijuana industry will grow by 11.3% each year through 2020. The report states this growth is driven by a demand shift away from the black market and by cannabis-specific visitor demand. Total sales are expected to peak at about $1.52 billion annually in Colorado. So many cannabis tourists are visiting Colorado that the total amount of marijuana needed for them is projected to increase from 14 metric tons to 55 metric tons by 2020. The huge growth has been driven through Colorado's early movement into legalized marijuana, making it a magnet for businesses working in marijuana sales, manufacturing, and testing, and earning it the nickname Silicon Valley of cannabis.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of November 21st through the 27th. A deputy responded to a town residence for assistance in an ongoing dispute. A deputy assisted with a report of a vehicle stolen. It was learned the vehicle was stolen outside of jurisdiction and the case was transferred to the appropriate agency. A search was initiated for a missing hunter. Volunteers with Rico Rescue and Dolores County Search and Rescue responded, and the hunter was located. A deputy responded to a request for a welfare check on a county resident. All was well. A person reported a fire near Alkali Creek. When Pleasant View Fire and Rescue responded, they found a hiker stranded in the snow. He was attempting to stay warm with a fire. The volunteers offered to take the hiker to the shelter in Cortez. That's it for today's Roundup. Stay tuned for continuing updates.
For today's High Country happenings, throughout the end of this month, there's a request to collect children's coats for Breakfast with Santa. Until December 2nd, you can drop them off at 24-Hour Powerhouse or contact Heather Barrett at 2232 East Main Street in Cortez, in the plaza by Beals. All donations are appreciated as the temperatures are really dropping. And this Saturday, December 3rd, the Kiwanis Club of Mesa Verde presents a free breakfast with Santa from 8 to 10 a.m. at the Cortez Elks Lodge at 2100 North Dolores Road. Free breakfast, free picture with Santa, and a gift. Also on Saturday the 3rd, Winterfest in Ouray will feature a Christmas parade starting at 6 p.m., followed by festivities at the Elks Lodge there. For Yule Night details, contact Denise at dborg56@gmail.com. And December 6th, the Southwest Colorado Small Business Development Center announces a networking and learning opportunity for nonprofits. Executive Director Liz Ross will host a nonprofit roundtable, a conversation on evaluating finances, board accountability, and identifying new funding sources. The event will take place from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. December 6th at the Durango Public Library, 1900 East 3rd Avenue. Bring your lunch along with questions and ideas and join the discussion. Discuss how to use the budget process to increase financial stability, to identify access to grants and funding quickly and easily, to identify trends in nonprofit revenue. This is open to board members, nonprofit leaders, and anyone with an interest in or experience with nonprofits. The event is free, but space is limited, so RSVP is required. Register online. There's a link on our Facebook page, or for more information, call 247-7009. All of the happenings are posted up on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays of the live show and the DCTV 5-day forecast. Email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m., and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30 and 8 p.m. each day respectively.
And again, be sure to check out our Facebook page with original stories and all the event details. Please like us there and share the link.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.